And here we are. We're live. Caught me off guard. It took a little bit there, but Tom Stakes back with Big Nish, and we're back talking the biggest news in sports right now. I mean, all the players are tweeting about it. All the Philly athletes, obviously. It's Bryce Harper. He's in Philadelphia. Some would say he's home. 13-year, $330 million deal. That means, guess what? Unless they trade this guy, and he has a no trade clause, by the way, but if he waives that trade clause and they trade this guy, that's the only way he's getting out of Philly. So he could be in Philadelphia for the rest of his playing career. Nish, say hi to everybody and tell them what you feel about Bryce Harper in Philly.
Hey everybody, I'm Big Nish, as Tom mentioned. Going to the Bryce Harper news, it kind of caught me off guard because for the past several days I've been hearing oh, he doesn't want to play in Philly. He doesn't like Gabe Kapler. He wants to go to the Dodgers. He wants to go to Laker games. So I'm like, what is he gonna do? And then I'm scrolling through Twitter and I see Bryce Harper. He's on the Phillies. I'm like, are you serious? Is somebody playing a joke? Then I see your tweet and I see other people see him. Then I saw one of the guys who covers the Phillies for NBC Sports Network Philadelphia, and I'm like, okay, now it's real. Yeah. So it's kind of hit me dang, they really got him. Hard to explain, really.
Exactly. That's the feeling I got. When I saw the tweet by Heyman was the first guy to break it, and he's been he's been the worst the entire time. He's tweeting all this cryptic stuff, and you're like, okay, what's going to happen? Is he going to, is Bryce Harper really going to pull a Manny Machado and just get stolen up by LA real quick, right out of our grasp? I remember everyone thought Manny Machado was going to come to the Phillies last year in the trade. I mean, I know he signed with the Padres, right?
Yeah,
the Padres. Okay, so he signed with the Padres this offseason, but last year during around the trade deadline, the Phillies wanted to go get Manny Machado, and LA swoops in and takes him. And now you're like, great, they could do the same thing with Bryce Harper. And the star name that he is, he would be great in LA. I mean, he's an LA Dodger. If you look at the guy, his swagger, he's an LA guy. And we're both out in California. We know, just that marketability with him, it's crazy. And the Phillies got him, and now they have that guy. And now Bryce wanted to be in Philadelphia. He wanted a long-term deal. His agent, Scott Boras, said that Bryce Harper wanted just a destination that he could stay, one city, build his brand, build his legacy. And I love it. I have always loved Bryce Harper, and a lot of Philly fans hated him. And I loved him the whole time, his whole career. I loved his swagger. And I said, look, if he was on the Phillies, every person in Philadelphia would love him. And everyone hated him when he was a National. It's obvious why. But I just knew this is the guy that you want on your team. And now he's on the team. And it's crazy. And
yeah, I was going through my Twitter feed and I saw this one tweet where it's saying Eagles, we got Carson Wentz. Sixers, we got Joel Embiid, Ben Simmons. For the Flyers, you got Carter Hart, the new goalkeeper for them. And now, the Phillies got Bryce Harper. This is pretty big and for the whole city of Philadelphia and sports-wise, because now this place is becoming where athletes want to go play. They want to go win rings in the city. And maybe the Eagles started everything off by winning that Super Bowl. Now everybody, all those athletes in the city they're basically good friends. They hang out with each other. They go to each other games. It's awesome.
Yeah, you're nailed it. Absolutely, 100%. I think the Eagles winning the Super Bowl and the Sixers becoming this, the whole process, and now they're one of the top teams in the league. And the Phillies having this bomb offseason, it's I'm telling you, when there's a certain energy in one place, it really matters. And the culture of Philadelphia has changed. It's a destination now where social media has shown how tight-knit everything is. And athletes, like Nish said, they want to be a part of that. They don't want to go to the watered down, okay, am I going to go play in the same city as LeBron James in LA with all the other stars, or am I going to go be the biggest shining star in a city that praises their athletes. In LA, it's like, yeah, you could be a movie star, all of that, a big name, big face. But in Philly, you're literally a god if you are an athlete. And I think that people are realizing that. Guys in the leagues are really understanding I could build a legacy and a brand in Philadelphia. That could be something that like is memorable forever. And when in LA, you're just another star. But like I said, in Philly, it's a whole nother level. So if you're not really like, if you've never been around Philadelphia or like have been to games, things like that, you don't really understand that. But I'm sure if you're from a city that's a diehard city, such as like a New York or a Boston, they're pretty serious about their sports. Those East Coast cities, I feel like even though they're not as big a market as LA, well, New York could be, but LA is the biggest, market. But at the end of the day, you're going to a place where you're not going to have to worry about a thing. And it's insane. It's incredible. So, speaking of stars here, and by the way, let me add that the Phillies are going to be really good this year. They have a lot of good players in their lineup, and I don't want to get into a whole thing because I kind of ranted a lot, but they have a lot of good players. Their all season was great, and Bryce Harper's the cherry on top. Now, switching over, Big Nish, I know you got something on your chest about LeBron James. The Lakers are not playing too well, and speaking of stars in LA, go into just give the people some thoughts on LeBron James. Just whatever you have to say. I know I saw some things on Twitter, and I know Rue was saying let Nish go into LeBron. So I want to hear what you got to say. I'm just as curious as everybody else.
Yeah, just like past since the Lakers lost to the Pelicans on last Saturday and to the Grizzlies on Mondays, there's been like, a lot of reports saying that, LeBron he's not that interested in basketball. He came to LA to, pursue the Hollywood life. Yeah, that may be true. We all know he's towards the end of his career. He's already got 3 rings. But to say that, he doesn't have a passion for basketball is kind of, in the words of Stephen A. Smith, blasphemous, because he loves the game so much. Like, he wants to win rings. He wants to he's also looking out for his family outside of basketball, because he wants to put his kids in a good put them through a good tunnel for life. And if people have a problem with that, let them have a problem with that. It's like, don't judge a guy by what he wants to do for his family. And going back to the point about how he doesn't play defense. Well, yeah, that's true. Sometimes he'll take breaks on defense, but at the same time, like last night against the Pelicans, I was watching the entire game, and I think towards the end of with about 45 seconds to go, LeBron got switched on to Drew Holiday, who's a prolific scorer, and he basically shut him down and the Pelicans got a shot clock violation. And then LeBron goes down the other court. He dribbles the ball. He almost loses possession. He goes to the corner and he hits a step back. I wouldn't call it a step back. He hit a 3-pointer on 1 foot. And I'm like, how can you question this guy's passion of basketball when he does stuff like that? And then he's holding up the 3 like that, and all the fans are cheering him. I don't understand why. Yeah, people, they're gonna question his motives to go to the LA, and he could have gone to the Sixers, and he could have been with Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid and all those guys. But if you think about it in depth, Ben Simmons and LeBron James, their games are totally similar. So it was going to be a clash. And you have these young guys who they don't know how to win, and LeBron does. And we've seen in the past with LeBron how the locker room is he's gonna put stuff out there passive aggressively, on his tweets. He would call up Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid, and we don't know how they're gonna react to that because they're not used to it. And all I gotta say to wrap this whole thing up is, don't question LeBron's passion for basketball, because he can go off for 45 points, 50 points at the age of 34. So
yeah. I mean, I'm not a big LeBron fan, and I hear exactly what you're saying. everyone wants to hate on LeBron. Everyone wants his downfall. You know, it's just like an evil empire like the Spurs or the Patriots. He's that good. He's an empire in himself. And I think that, like you said, a lot, it rubbed people the wrong way that he went to LA, and a lot of Sixers fans were upset. But I think the Sixers have a good thing. And like you said, you know, they shouldn't worry about that. I don't think Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid are worried about LeBron James. I think they would have loved to have the guy, but honestly, Joel Embiid doesn't want to be in someone's shadow. He's 24 years old. He's a superstar. Ben Simmons, yeah, he's cool with LeBron, but he's his own guy. So I think that the Sixers' best players and the two young guys, and Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid, I think that those guys show a tremendous amount of confidence, leadership, swagger to be this young, leading this team. And they trade for a guy like Tobias Harris, Jimmy Butler, and you know what those guys come in and do? They take a back seat to Embiid and Simmons, because Embiid and Simmons, it's their team, and it's obvious. I mean, Tobias will pour in points, Jimmy Butler will take his clutch shots, but they know that the two leaders and the two guys that started this thing, the two pillars in the Sixers build, are Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid. And I think bringing LeBron in, like you said, you don't know how the team would have reacted to that. And if I'm a Sixers fan thinking about this, you know, and you're a huge Sixers fan, saying that, you're a huge LeBron fan as well. And, you know, obviously Nish would have loved to see LeBron James on the Sixers. Like if he's talking truth about LeBron James and Ben Simmons not really gelling and things like that, you got to trust, because he's a big LeBron fan, a big Sixers fan. So he's definitely, you know, take his word for it. Take Nish's word. I like that. I liked how you put that there. You kind of changed my mind, because I've been talking about LeBron's passion and things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you kind of, you know, you swayed me there. I agree. I mean, I think it's his team just isn't that good, and you know, he acts like a diva sometimes, but
he's a drama king, basically.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And stars don't, and he backs it up because he's one of the best players. I personally don't think I take KD over him, because I'm just a bigger KD fan than LeBron.
Yeah, a lot of people do, because they see KD. You know, I don't know how old he is. He's like in his upper 20s, and you know,
KD's 30 now. But I mean, when you're winning, everyone thinks, oh, he's the best player.
Yeah,
really on a way better team, obviously, but he's the one that's, you know, when LeBron was on Miami with the superstar team and the winning championships, everyone's like, yo, LeBron runs the league. KD almost runs the league now. He's the power league. He holds the keys. If he leaves Golden State, it's wide open. If he stays, it could be a wrap for another whole year. So it's like Durant kind of owns the NBA right now, and people hate him for it. And, you know, I don't blame him, but I am a big fan of the guy's game, so I can't lie about that.
Yeah, and you know, going back to the LeBron and Sixers point, like, you know, you need to let Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons grow. You can't let a guy like LeBron, who has such a strong personality, stunt their growth in the NBA. Look what happened with Kyrie. Kyrie was there for what, from 2011 to 2014 all by himself, and then LeBron comes and he has to take a backseat to LeBron, and you know, look what happened. Kyrie wanted out. He didn't want to be second fiddle to LeBron. Now he's in Boston, and they're in their whole mess over there.
Oh yeah,
and kind of like
crazy you say that, because the next thing that we wanted to kind of chat about was the Boston Celtics and their struggle in the playoffs. Contenders and pretenders. And I think you put it perfectly. You know, LeBron, he has a great effect on young players, but it's tough to play with him. He's definitely a guy that expects a certain level of play and things to be done exactly how he wants. So Kyrie leaves. Kyrie says, you know what, I'm sick of this. And Kyrie goes to the Celtics to lead the team, gets hurt. The young guys bring him into the playoffs and have a great series. Kyrie was great before he went down with the injury. He was fitting perfectly on the team. And ever since he got hurt, it's not been the same. Sounds a little like some quarterback we know over in Philly, but we'll get to that later. Kyrie Irving is miserable. The Celtics look like crap. Are they a contender or are they a pretender?
Right now, I think they're a pretender, because I think the Toronto Raptors are better than them. We saw that on Tuesday night when the Celtics got the breaks beaten off of them um by the Raptors, and the Bucks, they got the Greek Freak. So, and I think those young guys in Boston, like Jason Tatum and Jalen Brown and Terry Rozier, they were one game away from making it to the NBA Finals without Kyrie Irving. So they, in their heart of hearts, they believe we can go anywhere without this guy. And one prediction that I have, I think Kyrie Irving, he's not on July 1st or sometime after, he's gonna lead the Celtics because that's like, I don't think that's a good perfect fit for him. He needs to go somewhere else. I don't know where. Rumors are he might go to the Knicks and team up with KD. He might team up with LeBron back in LA. So it's kind of, up in the air. This free agency coming up is it's going to be pretty interesting.
Yeah. This free agency, this class it could shake the league up, and we could have a whole new league. I work. We both are from California, like I said before, and I work in an office with a bunch of other people from California, and one of my buddies at work is a big Warriors fan. He's from the Bay Area, and he said KD, he has to go, and it's not because I don't like him or because I don't think he's good or whatever, but it just doesn't even look fun out there for these guys anymore. Like, they just dominate and they just know they're gonna win, and it's honestly like, it's almost like, all right, switch it up. Like when you're at the park and one team just dominates, and you're like, okay, we need to break them up so we can get more competitive games. And it's crazy that they did this in the NBA, but with KD, it's like, and Boogie on the team too. It's like those guys, so maybe KD does end up going and going to the Knicks and playing with Kyrie Irving, and they get a high draft pick and they take, Zion Williamson or RJ Barrett from Duke, and they build in a little super team there and see what they can do. But I think that would be a really cool thing for the East. It would be tough to beat them, but there would be a lot of good teams there. And so obviously we know Boston, they're looking kind of shaky right now. We know the Golden State Warriors are, obviously the big time favorite. Yeah. So what other teams do we like? I mean, I say contender wise, I really like the Nuggets. I mean, I watched their game against OKC the other night, and that team is legit, man. They got two really good guards, Jamal Murray and Gary Harris, and they have Nikola Jokic. That guy is a baller, man. He is so good every night, productive. It's like every night he's making plays. It's like he doesn't take a night off, this guy. I mean, he's big games. He shows up. I mean, I watched and admired him for years, and I've been like, I mean, he hasn't been great for too many years, but I've watched him. He's a young guy, and he's putting up all these numbers like last year, and I'm like, well, why aren't the Nuggets winning? And now I see, okay, they got a year better, and they've arrived now, and that they've got something in Denver. I'm telling you, they are a really good team. They play defense, they run the floor, and they move the ball. They do all the things teams that thrive do, and they have the athleticism, the length, the bodies, the center that is dynamic, the guards, the backcourt, the wings. They have so much low-key talent that people don't really talk about, and I think you're going to really be seeing them make some noise. I think obviously they're a 2 seed, but I think they're a contender for sure. Just as far as, obviously the Warriors, I think are going to win the title, but they're a really good team, and I really like them. And I'd say in the East, obviously the Bucks, Raptors, and Sixers, I think are the best 3 teams. I think the Pacers and Celtics are, they just don't have enough with Oladipo going down, and then the Celtics in such disarray. But you got to see in the playoffs how teams how teams do that have good coaches, and maybe in a regular season it's tough, but in a series, Brad Stevens is really a good coach, and we'll see kind of what happens. And those are my my hot teams to watch. And then I also like the Brooklyn Nets as well. I don't think they're going to win a series. I just think they're going to be a fun team to keep an eye on, see how they grow, see how they do in their first playoff experience. I mean, if they push to like 6-7 games, that's really cool in the first round. If they, get swept, and, it's expected, but it's like maybe 5 games, it'll be, tough to handle for a young team, but they'll bounce back. I think they're going to be a fun team to watch not only in the playoffs but going forward. So you can give a breakdown on who you think, see if it kind of overlaps or clashes. What's up with your hot NBA teams?
I think I agree with you. Like the Nuggets are with Jokic and all those guys there. Like they're the number 2 seed in the West, and if they win tonight, they'll be the number 1 seed because the Warriors lost to the Magic.
Wow.
So it's kind of like maybe the Nuggets can challenge the Warriors. Maybe give that how it was last year. But I honestly I don't think that's gonna happen. I just think the Warriors, they're too good. They have so much talent on their team that nobody's gonna beat them.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like if we could just erase this whole season, say the Warriors win the title, and move on to next year, and let's get into the fun stuff with the NBA free agency. So
Yeah.
that's kind of what I want. Like it's kind of like watching the NBA for the past 3 years. It's kind of been like we all know what the outcome is going to be with the Warriors winning. So now it's kind of like let's put some kerosene on the fire and light some stuff up in free agency because it's like we need more like competition and stuff.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree. I feel like that's kind of how everyone feels, and I think that erase the season, let the Warriors have it.
Yeah.
Let's get some player movement. But shout out real quick to my man D Wade for hitting that buzzer beater against Golden State. My favorite player.
Crazy.
And that's something you never see.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how he just blocked and threw it up.
Crazy. Banked off the glass too. That was
off the glass.
Crazy.
And it's crazy because I saw a stat today on TV. It was like the most buzzer beaters since 2003, 2004. And it's Joe Johnson with 7. It's Kobe Bryant with 5, D Wade with 5, and Andre Iguodala with 5. So it's like that's crazy. He finds himself in a clutch like category like that. But I mean, I do remember him hitting a couple weird like buzzer beaters on the Sixers. Anyway, moving on. Last dance for D Wade, so I had to give a quick shout out to him. But moving on to the NFL here, NFL scouting combine is underway. I mean, the measurements are coming, and Kyler Murray, a lot of talk about him. It's not in the thick of the combine. We'll have much more next week to talk about with times and things like that, athletic drills and all that. They did some like bench rep stuff, but the 40-yard dash, guys running, guys catching, guys doing the 3-cone drill, all that stuff. We'll see all that. I honestly might be just talking nonsense. Maybe are they running yet? Do you know? Or
I have no clue. All I heard today was I got a notification on my phone saying that Kyler Murray, he's 5 feet 10 inches and an eighth, and he weighs like 207 pounds, and his hand size is 9.5. So that's all I got. Like,
okay. All right.
That's pretty much it.
Everyone got the Kyler Murray measurements. Like, I think every football fan right now in America knows how tall Kyler Murray is.
I think it was because people didn't know how tall he was. People thought he was 5'8", 5'9", so it's kind of like getting those measurements out of the way kind of, pushes people away from that notion that he's too short and stuff. Mm-hmm. And he has that, unless the Arizona Cardinals don't draft him and he plays in a cold weather city, he needs like big hands to grip the football and stuff. Mm-hmm. And then the weight, I think this early in the week, there's been reports saying that he's put on 10 pounds to go from 196 to 206. So he's just trying to help his draft stock and make people more put out the notion that the Arizona Cardinals, they want Kyler Murray. That's pretty much what it's about.
I see. The thing about small quarterbacks like 5'8", 5'9", I don't think any quarterback has ever been drafted in the first round that's 5'10"
Yeah.
or something like that. So there's a lot of weird things, and obviously, like that's the big hang up on him is his size because he's got like talent and stuff. He runs around, he makes throws, he makes plays, but do you really want to draft a guy that's kind of like, I don't know. You don't know if he's just college good or if he can actually do all that stuff in the NFL on a weekly basis. And Baker Mayfield was a guy that was 6 foot, and I didn't think he was going to be good at all. This guy's small. Why are they picking him first overall? He's a small guy that looked good in Oklahoma, which is like a great school, and he brought a fire and passion to the Browns that maybe Kyler Murray could bring to the Cardinals, some excitement, some leadership, and he's just such a very well-rounded athlete as far as just everything, intelligence. Like he just seems to have it all together with being a baseball guy and being, a guy that can play different sports and adapt to those kind of different environments. It's like you don't want anything else in a leader. I mean, that's what you want in a leader. So maybe, they get him, maybe not, but I think, he'll go somewhere and we'll see what he's got. But yeah, it was the measurements, and then it was also so I saw different bench reps going around. I don't think they did running. I think I would have seen it on Twitter at some point, but it's going to be a fun week of the combine or however long it goes. Again, this web series is not too expert talking. We both have things going on every day. When I was a kid, me and my dad knew exactly every date. We'd watch it together, and now I'm like, all right, well, whatever. It gets on, it's on. Like I've seen so many freaking combines that I'm combined out. Like I'm like, okay, yeah, the guy's running. He's like, oh, he's got a fast 40, whatever. It never translates to anything. I mean, it could, but for the most part, who's good at football and who's not. So you just try to get those guys. But the combine's cool. I like it. I'm not ripping the combine. It's cool. It's a good event. And that's the NFL. It's year round. So other things that there's always other things to pay attention to in the NFL, and player movement is huge. It's just getting bigger and bigger in the NFL. It never used to be this way. The NBA was the player movement league, and the NFL, it's not you don't see it as much, but now with social media, I swear social media changed everything. You guys are just being so petty with each other all the time that things happen. So now Antonio Brown, he's been wanting out of Pittsburgh, and Le'Veon, obviously he wanted out. He sat a whole year because of it. They're after, their big money, and they don't think they're being respected by the Steelers. And then, you had Landon Collins. He's going to be out in New York. And then the big news, Nick Foles, Howie Roseman comes out in his combine interview and says, hey, look, this is the deal, man. We're going to let this guy go choose where he wants to play. We're not going to try to milk some value out of him. Just we got a Super Bowl out of him, so he's going to go. He'll choose where he wants to play, and we're going to go with Carson Wentz. And that's kind of the deal. I mean, there wasn't really a decision to be made. I think that was kind of it. I don't think that they could have franchised him to trade him. I think that's illegal, if I'm not mistaken. So he could have filed a grievance and had that investigated, things like that. You just don't want the distraction. It's, hey, you want us the Super Bowl. You played an amazing game for us in the biggest game in franchise history to that point. Beat the Patriots. Go find a new team on your own accord. Get your money. Get your family set. Thank you for everything. And I think that's the best decision. What do you think?
I think the narrative of Nick Foles staying in Philadelphia is mostly run by on Eagles Twitter. We call them the Folesian gang, the guys who just absolutely think Nick Foles should be the starting quarterback and all that mumbo jumbo. And it's mostly run by a Skip Bayless, who's a Cowboys fan, and Cowboys fans out there. It's mostly just Cowboys fans and the Folesian gang. That's pretty much it. You never hear this from Redskins fans. You never hear this from Giants fans. It's mostly from those people. So in their heart of hearts, they know that Carson Wentz is the starting quarterback for the Eagles, and he will be for the next 10 years. They just don't want to admit that because Nick Foles brought a Super Bowl to the city. And like I said last week, I'm thankful for him for doing that, but we know what type of quarterback he is. He's the streakiest quarterback. He'll play good for like 2 games, and then for the next 4 games he'll play bad. Like, and he needed to choose where he wanted to go. The Eagles shouldn't have picked a trade partner for him. It should have been from his own accord. So there's been reports out saying that him and the Jacksonville Jaguars they're a good match. Former Eagles quarterback coach John DeFilippo is down in Jacksonville, so they worked some magic in the 2017 postseason when the Eagles won the Super Bowl. So that's where I think he's going. Where do you think he's going?
I think you're right. I think Jacksonville's a really, really sensible destination. I don't think the Giants are going to have what it takes in their heart to move on from Eli Manning, and I don't think the Redskins are going to spend the money on Nick Foles after they just did that with Alex Smith and he broke his leg. I think that the Redskins are better suited just rolling with some bum because they need a lot of stuff. I'm not going to sit here and say Colt McCoy's completely terrible, but he's not good. And if you roll with him and you draft a guy, maybe the Redskins will be one of those teams that moves up for, one of the quarterbacks. A guy like Drew Lock is going to gain a lot of steam. Dwayne Haskins, I think it's Dwayne, right?
Yeah.
I'm so unorganized. I try to stay on top of every little thing. So I need some draft guys in here. But, I was right. Dwayne Haskins and there's a handful of quarterbacks that are going to rise up the board and guys are going to fall. And, maybe the Redskins make a move up for Kyler Murray. Maybe he slips because of his size and no one really wants to, give him a shot. But I think Kyler Murray, Dwayne Haskins, Drew Lock, like I said. And then I don't really know any other quarterbacks, to be completely honest with you. I know those guys. And if you said a couple names, I know maybe a couple of them. But yeah, I'm really not well versed on the quarterback class because we have ours, and
yeah,
more for the show.
It doesn't matter to us. So.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't really matter to us because we know we have Carson Wentz, and that's the guy we're going to go with, good or bad. But like Nish said, it's a lot of Cowboys fans. It's a lot of Skip Bayless type guys, and a bunch of guys in Philly now that have this chip on their shoulder, like, oh well, if you're not a quarterback that won Super Bowl MVP, then you're not good. Like, you're not good enough for me. Like, Carson Wentz has to earn my respect. It's like, okay, well, obviously that's the goal, but if that's how you want to play it, then cool. But at the end of the day, Nick Foles wasn't the right choice for the team going forward as the starter. He's never played even 10 games in a season. He's, what Nish said, he's very up and down. And he's just, he kind of is what he is. And 8 years into his career, that's just what it is. So, no matter what Carson Wentz does, they made the right decision in just like taking a risk on Wentz. Because I just don't think Foles is the guy to year after year do, that. It seems like he's best in relief situations. It seems like when I'm not the one that wants to play with fire every week and every season. It just seems like Nick Foles has 9-7 wild card team written all over him. Like, every game is going to be one of those, like, oh man, like, does he come up with that last drive or not? And then late in the season, we're like, oh great, we have to win these last 3 games, and this team has to lose 1 out of the last 3. Like, I don't want to go through that every year. And Carson showed me that he can just be playing at such a high level and elevate the team when he was fully healthy and they had the right thing built around him and everything was just clicking. So I want to see that again. I don't think we're going to see much more different from Nick Foles at this stage in his career. I just want to see what Carson Wentz can bring back from that 2017 season. And, and like you said, Foles to Jacksonville makes sense. I hope it happens because Giants and Redskins, I think, they're better off going young and just sticking with the veterans they have at quarterback. I don't think they're going to be interested. But you never know. It's why it's the NFL. It's why it's sports. And things come out and they shock you. And you never really know what's going to happen. A lot of people don't know where Le'Veon Bell's going to end up, and he could completely shock you. Landon Collins, same thing. Rumors are about, the Chiefs right now. And it's like, you never know, but you got to just roll with it. The offseason's crazy, and you just have to see what happens. And hope for the best for Foles. Always wish him luck, but it's all Carson, and that's kind of where we're at. So that's what I got to say about that.
One thing about the Eagles has nothing to do with the Foles versus Wentz controversy, and if there even is one, but about a backup for Carson Wentz. Like, I don't think we can trust in Nate Sudfeld if he has to come in and deliver. So maybe getting maybe like a Ryan Fitzpatrick or somebody like that to back him up, like somebody who's played in the league and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I think a lot of Eagles fans are wondering, are they really going to go with Nate Sudfeld, or are they going to just keep him kind of as that third guy where he can be a backup if the starter goes down? And a guy like Ryan Fitzpatrick, I mean, there's always veteran quarterbacks floating around the league, and I think a guy like Ryan Fitzpatrick, where, if he has to play a couple games, like, he can sling the ball downfield. He's fearless. He's kind of like a Nick Foles, but just at a very much lesser of accomplishment kind of guy. He didn't ever get the chances Nick Foles got, and he's been in the league way longer. So I think a guy like Ryan Fitzpatrick would be really cool to get for just like a 1-year deal and figure it out. But I like that. I like thinking about, who could we get at a backup quarterback, or if they will make a move. I think Nate Sudfeld might win the backup job. You never know. Maybe they'll draft a guy or pick up an undrafted free agent to be the new Nate Sudfeld. They probably won't draft a guy, but an undrafted free agent quarterback to take over for what Nate Sudfeld is, and then put Sudfeld as the backup. It could happen. So we'll see how confident they are in him, and we'll roll with it. But speaking of the Eagles, and we're gonna end it on Eagles talk, of course. There's a lot of things in this offseason that are priorities, and running back is certainly one. I think we touched on it in our first episode, talked a little bit about things. You're seeing the Eagles have one thing I do know, and I'm prepared, totally prepared on my Eagles stuff, is that the Eagles have been hosting a lot of visits, formal visits with running backs at the combine. Nish, what do you make of this? Are they going to draft a running back, or are they going to sign a guy, or both?
I think they're meeting with all these guys to get a feel of, do they want any of them? Do they want one particular guy? I think they know which guy they want. They just don't want to broadcast it out to other teams to let them know. So I think that's why they're meeting with them. But I think the Eagles should try to get Le'Veon Bell. But I think either Jordan Howard or Tevin Coleman would be a nice option, and then maybe draft a running back in the rounds and go from there. Because we really need a running back.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but I'm not down with Josh Adams, Wendell Smallwood, Darren Sproles, and Corey Clement in the backfield. That's not going to cut it for me. We haven't had a good running back since Shady McCoy. We need one really badly.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree. And I'll tell you what, Jay Ajayi and LeGarrette Blount were probably the closest thing that we had to Shady McCoy as far as being able to produce and become a difference maker. They were difference making type backs as a duo. We've not had yet, though, a guy that's a dynamic one guy that can just bring a starting quality. We've always had rotations, and our best rotation was Blunt and Ajayi, and then Clement as the third guy. I'm not down with the guys you named, Adams, Smallwood, Clement, Sproles. They're all 3 or 4 guys. You need to bring a 1 and a 2 in. You need 2 of them. And unless you get Le'Veon Bell, because he'll be on the field 80% of the time, in my opinion, if you pay a guy that much money, you keep him on the field that long. So you maybe draft a guy a little later, or you just roll with, your backfield who you have now. But if you pick up a Tevin Coleman or, like you said, Jordan Howard, you have to go get a guy that's for the future as well. Not that those guys are that old, but you'll get them for a nice solid price, and you can groom a guy behind him to become, the franchise back and make an immediate impact in his rookie year. Hopefully you get two different guys, one guy that can run and one guy that can three-tool back. You need you need one three-tool back, and then you need your second back has to have two of the three tools, whether it's blocking and passing or pass catching, whether it's blocking and running, whether it's running and catching, and you're not that good a blocker. You need two of those things. And then the first back has to be good at all three because, you just have to have one guy on the team that can do all three of those things. And maybe not the best ever, but somewhere along the lines, they have to be able to pick up a blitz. They have to be able to catch a pass and run the ball. And Tevin Coleman, to me, fits those things for an affordable price. So that's who I'd go with personally. But I'm never the guy to play the scared money game, and I'm all for Le'Veon Bell 100%. If we get him, I'll take it every day. But if we're talking more affordable kind of route to go on, I'll take Tevin Coleman and draft a running back with one of those top three picks. And then also with the other top pick, I would take D lineman and probably O lineman or potentially another position on defense. But with Timmy Jernigan, his contract is expiring, shifting to the defense now. I think we've covered, a lot on running backs last year, this week. The D-line is something that no one really talks about because of the running back thing, but Timmy Jernigan, we're not expected to pick his contract up. I think he might be back, but how big a need is D-line really? With BG departing, Jernigan, probably having a restructured deal and coming back, but, who knows, what'll happen after next year. Is D-line a huge need, or is it something that you're not really worried about?
I don't think it's a huge need, but we need some interior D linemen. If Timmy Jernigan goes, then who do we have? We have up front. We have Fletcher Cox, and I can just think of Fletcher Cox. I can't think of any interior D lineman.
It's Trayvon Hester. We had Haloti Ngata, who won't be back.
Yeah, he's not coming back.
He's injured all year. Was a 1-year old veteran guy, didn't do anything. Trayvon Hester is probably going to stick around as one of the depth guys. And then there was a bunch of guys we rotated in too, including Hester. He was on and off the team all year. So behind Fletcher Cox, there was really no one. And that showed. I think that impacted us. And I think getting Jernigan back late in the season and having him rolling and playing every game he had, when he came back, he got hurt again and was out a little. And then he came back for good, I'm pretty sure. And he was in the Saints game, right?
Yeah, he was.
Trayvon Hester blocked the kick against the Bears, but that was a special teams play, obviously. And he gets snaps as well. They rotate a lot. That's the thing. That's the thing about the Eagles is they rotate a lot. So sometimes you don't even notice if a guy's in the game. Like, oh wow, Jernigan's in there. I didn't even notice because they're rotating and Hester's having a big game or Cox is having a big game. So if you can get some bodies in there that are talented, anyone can go off at any time to the point where, okay, if Jernigan does go down and if Trayvon Hester, isn't playing well, or, you just want bodies that are more talented, give yourself a better chance, better depth at having, guys on the field that can step in. And what happened a lot of the time was that Michael Bennett played a lot of inside. Brandon Graham lined up inside a lot. They ran that NASCAR package. So I think that just getting bodies on the D-line, I think, is crucial. I'm not sure, like you said, it's not like the biggest need, so you're not going to do too much with it, but just adding one or two guys, and they don't have to be premier guys or anything. If they go out at defensive end in free agency, a big premier guy would be great, but they could just add a couple guys, maybe draft the guy with one of those top 3 picks and go in free agency, get a bargain guy, anything. Just get some more bodies, youth, and also get guys that can stay healthy. And that's, you can't stress enough the health of certain guys you bring in. They get hurt. They're on and off the field. It's a nightmare. So you definitely want clean health. You can't predict injuries, but you want a guy that has no history of injury. You want to bring in fresh bodies that can rotate because that's huge for that unit. And you just can't stress enough having fresh bodies all game. And I'm looking forward to seeing what they do there at that position. They did bring in a personnel guy, Andrew Berry, as VP of football operations. Do you think that means anything as far as how he goes, or do you think that they just kind of needed like an extra eyes on the draft, or do you think that hire really means anything at all, or what do you think?
I think they needed an extra eyes on the draft because I think for a few picks in the 2016 draft and then the 2017 draft, we only got like a few guys who made like instant impact, like guys like Carson Wentz, Derek Barnett, Avante Maddox. Like we need guys who can make an impact like that. Like we need that because we can't just rely on these practice squad guys like Trey Sullivan and Devontae Bowsby, who's now in the AAF, that league and stuff. So it's kind of like we need depth. We just need depth.
Yeah.
If it comes from the draft, great. If it comes from free agency, perfect. We just need depth. That's all.
And I think last year when Howie signed guys like Patrick Robinson, and he got big performance out of Rasul Douglas, who he drafted, and I think those guys, and Derek Barnett was really good as a rookie. He was a guy that played the whole season and was able to stay on the field. I think those guys, even though they didn't turn out to be superstars, they played really big roles. And I think that you're absolutely right about getting depth so we can have guys play those roles again and support our starters and support each other and just keeping them rolling and keeping them fresh. That's the biggest thing. When you're rolling guys in and they're like Devontae Bowsby and some of those other terrible Trey Sullivan and all those guys, you're gonna be hurting at safety and at corner and at any position. You know, when you have no-name guys on the D line, you know, you're gonna get taken advantage of. NFL offensive coordinators are just too good to not find those holes in your defense immediately. It's crazy. You see a guy in there that's a weak point, he just gets exposed. So shoring up that D line, shoring up that secondary with some depth, getting some more production out of it, some playmakers that can be instant impact guys. And I think, yeah, you bring in Andrew Berry to get, you know, this is a big draft for Howie. It's a big offseason, and it's really a big draft. You have those 3 first picks, 1, 2, and 2, and you're at the end of the day, you're really just you're married to those guys. I mean, this is going to be a huge draft for Howie Roseman, and I'm looking forward to it. I'm always up for the challenge.
One more thing before we move on to the Eagles and we move on to other stuff. About for like offense, I saw a report out there. I think it was either earlier today or yesterday saying that the Eagles are shopping like Nelson Aguilar. What do you make of that?
Yeah, I did see that too. That was crazy. Like I said, it's the NFL. Things can come out of nowhere and shock you. So I'd like to see what happens, but I like Nelson Aguilar. I wouldn't be opposed to keeping him around, and maybe if they don't want to extend him. I mean, the bottom line is they're all at the combine right now, so that's when a lot of teams kind of chat and get a feel for each other. So something could be out there. Someone could have leaked that they're shopping Nelson Aguilar, and you never know. I don't know if he's part of their future plans or they want to extend him this year to bring his cap hit down, or whatever the case is, but. I think that, if that's the truth, then you need to look at bringing in a receiver that can stretch the field. Your guy, Hollywood Brown, he's going to be out there in the draft, and we're going to see if they're interested in bringing a burner in and seeing what they do with Nelly. It's a shake-up at receiver. Other than Alshon, I don't think anybody's safe. So everyone's got to prove themselves. And at the end of the day, if Nelson Aguilar was worth it, he wouldn't even be talked about because we would just know we're keeping him. If he was like Juju Smith-Schuster, we'd be not even talking about trading the guy. But he's kind of up and down, so we'll see. We'll see what happens. It's quite the situation we got in our hands every offseason with Howie, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like one of those things. Like you gotta have like. I have the Bleacher Report app, and I get like notification for them, everything Eagles. So like whenever I wake up, I'm saying, did they make a move? Did they make a move? Even during the season when we're we needed those running backs. Like it's every day I wanted to know what's going on with the Eagles. What are they doing? Like,
yep. It's no fan ever wants to admit they're jealous of another fan base, but if you're an off-season nut and you're not an Eagles fan, you probably wish you were sometimes because Howie Roseman does some wild stuff. I mean, he's done a lot in the trade market and in free agency and even moving around in the draft and doing interesting. It's like he's one of the more interesting GMs in the league. So it really fun, to follow along with what he does and just kind of go along for the ride and figure out what's coming next. It's literally impossible. So I'm looking for more shocks, more craziness from Howie Roseman this offseason. I would not have it any other way. I love all the moves this guy makes. And maybe they all don't work out, but I love how he moves and how he's aggressive and creative. So it's definitely worth watching, and we're about to just get underway with another NFL offseason. And I just can't wait. It's going to be awesome. And I think we covered a lot. We've been chatting about a lot. We went from Bryce, big. I'm exhausted from the Bryce news. My head.
Me too, man. Like
it was a crazy day. Like I'm lucky I wasn't that busy at work because I was just so like hyped talking to like my coworkers about it. Like, dude, we got Bryce Harper in there. Like, yeah, we know you're happy, but it's funny because a lot of them are like Dodgers fans and stuff from LA. So it was an exhausting day, and it was a good day though. It was definitely good. Good sports day. All the Philly players getting behind it. It was awesome. So that kind of takes us to our last statements. And I wanted to break some stuff down. I don't know if I have the energy to break it down. I might save it for next show and just say, I'm just so excited for the Philadelphia Phillies. I'm not a huge baseball guy. This isn't going to be my final statement. I'm not a huge baseball guy. Everyone knows that. Big NBA, big NFL. But I love me some good baseball, and I love playoff baseball, no matter if the Phillies are in it or not. And the Phillies getting Bryce Harper, to me, it shows they could be a playoff team. And this will open up a window for them. Maybe they're not a World Series contender right now. Maybe they're a couple years away, maybe some good pitching, maybe Bryce gelling into, the team more and just becoming who he is as a Philadelphia Philly, 28, 29 years old, 30 years old, really getting in the prime of his career, really the meat of his career. Maybe at that point they'll be prepared to go win a World Series. But it's going to be a really exciting year, and I'm stoked for Phillies fans, diehard Phillies fans, like you guys, the Philadelphians that are, diehard baseball guys. I'm so excited for you guys because I'm even excited, and I'm not like this is like if the Eagles got like Le'Veon Bell or like Antonio Brown, like it's a superstar, literally. Like I don't know about talent wise, as far I know he's top 5, top 10. Arguably, my cousin's all mad. He's a Yankees fan. He's like, he's not top 5, whatever. I'm like, okay. But everyone knows Bryce Harper is like one of the biggest superstars in the sport. And it's just like landing, like it's like when the Eagles landed Terrell Owens. Like it's that big. Like it's so big. It's the biggest, I think it's the biggest superstar Philadelphia has ever landed. And it's just insane to me. Like it's just crazy. And I'm so hyped for the city, for the Phillies to come back. I want to go to a game. We'll see what happens if I can make it back home. But it's going to be a great year. So I think Nish I think he shares that same feeling, but I think he's a lot more of an informative closing statement. He's going to hit you with some games to watch, right?
Yeah. So I'm going to, appeal to some of the other viewers that we have that are interested in, like soccer. So there's like a few big soccer games coming up. You have Tottenham versus Arsenal, Real Madrid versus Barcelona, which is one of the biggest soccer matches in the world. And then you have Napoli and Juventus. That's for soccer. And then for basketball, you have Bucks versus Kings. Not Bucks versus Kings, Bucks versus Lakers. And then you have Sixers versus Warriors. And you have Celtics versus Rockets. And then Clippers versus Kings. So if you guys have time, check out those games because most of those games they have either in soccer it has benefit to who's going to win the title, and NBA it's who's going to make the playoffs. So keep an eye on those games for over the weekend, and yeah, enjoy sports. Basically, that's basically what I'm saying. Enjoy sports.
Exactly. No, dude, that Real Madrid Barcelona game sounds dope. I might have to check that out. I'm not a huge soccer watcher, but that's I what you said about it's the biggest game ever. It's like I'll take that. I'll watch that. It's cool. But
It's
yeah,
like, I'll give you like an equivalent to something for like in NFL words. It's basically like the Eagles versus the Cowboys.
right, exactly.
But it's like more. There's like chants going on throughout the game. The stadium is loud, so it's kind of one of those amazing atmospheres. Like when I'm watching it on TV, it's like I would really love to be there and just taking in that whole experience, like how I taken that whole experience when I'm at the Link in Philadelphia. So
yeah. No, that sounds awesome. Like that's what you love about sports is that like the rivalries and the tradition and the passion, and like that's exactly what that sounds like. So yeah, I'll definitely have to check that out. I'll have to hit you up about what time it's on, and you'll have to send me like info about it and stuff because I want to check that game out for sure. And then the hoops games, we got Sixers Warriors. It's a big one for Sixers, and then a couple other games with playoff implications. So some good suggestions there to get your sports on this weekend. And that's what we encourage because you might be watching this right now live. You might be watching tomorrow, Friday. So happy Friday if you are, and enjoy your weekend. Stay safe. Get your sports on. I like that as a little catchphrase. Get your sports on this weekend with suggestions, and maybe we'll do game suggestions every week. That's a cool. I like that because you guys have to get your suggestions and try different things. Like I'm going to try soccer. Everybody, if you don't watch basketball, try some basketball this weekend. Try some soccer if you don't watch it. Get into some new stuff and just have a good time. So signing off, I'm Tom Stakes on Twitter. Follow me at Tom Stakes. This is Hits and Hoops. Episode 2 just wrapped up. Branded Sports. If you try to if you're trying to get into a Twitter battle and these guys, this blog's unlike anything else, unlike anything I've ever seen. They're hosting a blog competition right now where they're going to hire a guy if he out clicks one of the best writers on the site. So they're giving this guy a chance to get a writing gig by pretty much putting him up to a test of seeing who gets more, engagement with their content. And I think the guy's losing right now, but either way, it's hilarious. It's all in fun. And at branded_sports on Twitter. Check out their articles. They have a multitude of writers from different teams, and they put out good content. And my man at Big Nish 20, he wishes you a good weekend as well, but I'll let him say that.
Yeah. If you guys want to talk sports with me, hit me up at Big Nish 20, like Tom said. If you don't want people to see our messages, you can, hit me up, direct message me, and I'm down to talk sports. Like that's what I love to do in my free time. Watch it, sometimes play it. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
Cool, absolutely. We're just sports guys. That's kind of the deal with things. So hit us up on Twitter, DM, timeline, whatever. We're always talking sports. We're debating, whatever it is. So hit us up, follow us, follow Branded Sports, follow along with the YouTube, subscribe. Like, share, whatever, man. We just want to talk sports and meet new people and just get different perspectives on things because it brings people together. It really does. So fly, Eagles, fly. Here they come with the Sixers. Be bold with the Phillies. And let's go Flyers. I don't really know.
I don't know what that hashtag is for. I just know the Sixers, Eagles, and Phillies. So
yeah, exactly. The main teams that are really making noise. The Flyers are a little bit on the come up, but shout out to our Philly teams, and we will see you guys next week. Thanks for stopping by, tuning in, and having a good time with us.